a few weeks ago. So with that, we will get started.
Hello, I'm Linda Nordstrom, and I'm going to take you on a short tour of my garden here in Springfield, Virginia. We've been here about 30 years, so I've had a lot of time to build this garden into what I want it to be. On the east side of the house, I have hydrangea. I started this garden a couple of years ago. I've always wanted a lot of hydrangea, and I think I may have found the spot for them. This year they are suffering from anthracnose and ceospora leaf spot. However, the flowers are still beautiful, even though the leaves are not so much. So we're developing this. You can see I have some smaller ones here. This one was in the wrong spot in my garden, and I think it's going to recover here. This next shrub I planted a few years ago. It is a summer sweet, and it is not invasive but aggressive. It sends out shoots. And it will go in all directions. I have shared several of these, and I have also planted other ones here in my yard. They will bloom here probably by mid-July. As we walk along here, I'll start to go into the flowers that I have, the plants that I have. I am a gardener for the bees, the birds, and the butterflies. I am not so much an aesthetic gardener, and so it doesn't look as pleasing as it could to some people, but the bees, the birds, and the butterflies love it in here. These are black-eyed Susans, and next to that I have a golden Alexander that bloomed very early in the year. Probably in early April, but it is still green and lush and beautiful in this spot. So I leave it even though those are seed heads. I have the ever-present Daylilies as I planted those early on. And so as I find plants that I like better that are native, I will take those out, split them, and put a native in next to them. The plant here in the back, this is a Lobelia. It is a blue Lobelia. It also self-seeds pretty readily. And I have several plots of these, if you will, throughout the garden. This plant is a rose campion. I can't remember when I purchased it. It blooms this beautiful, beautiful pink flower. And if you deadhead them, they will continue to bloom for most of July. It does go dormant after that. This next plant was an absolute bee magnet when it was in full bloom, which was a couple weeks ago. And the bees were there were no less than 5 to 7 bees on this every day. I believe it is a plant called a betony or betony. I have not really been able to identify it. I have gone through iNaturalist, and that was the answer that they gave me. It's hard to tell because the flowers are gone, but if anybody knows what this is, I would appreciate you sharing it with me. It is about 3 feet tall. The green, the actual base of the plant, the greens are probably no more than 12 inches tall. But these stems for the flowers are about 3 feet tall. Next, I have the Liatris, which are just beginning to bloom. My yarrow is coming and is beautiful this year. I have some Scarbosia. I planted those. We just had a little rain, so they're kind of falling over this morning. And next to that, I have some native irises. And behind those, I have what I call my art in the garden. It is, these are alliums, which I planted last fall. They bloomed beautiful purple this year. And after the bloom, I just let them kind of die in place. And then I spray painted them blue. My neighbor's granddaughter loves blue, and so I wanted to put some blue in the garden for her. Green Spring Gardens, where I am a master gardener, did this a couple of years ago, and I just thought it looked so pretty in the garden, and it's not something you expect. So I enjoy them, and they're kind of a fun idea in the garden. Next, we come along here and we have a double coreopsis. Not really happy in this spot, but has done better this year than it has in previous years. Again, I have some daylilies in the back. These came again from Green Spring Gardens when they started to when they thinned their daylilies. They just gave them away. So I have some from their Green Spring here in the garden. And then I have some astilbe in the back and some phlox next to that. And I'll go up here. I have my ever-present birdhouse, and it had a beautiful wren family in it. It was very noisy through the month of May. They have all fledged now. As we come along here, I have lamb's ear. This is another thing I put in the garden until I figure out what else I want to plant. So it makes the garden look lush and full. I have a heuchera, and then we will go in here, and I will go back here to the, I don't know if you can see them, but way in the back here, I have some Stokes Asters that are just starting to bloom. They were full about 4 days ago. So after some deadheading, I'm sure they'll come back. This is one of my Baptista. I have two in the yard. I have two in the garden rather. I have one that is yellow and one that is the purple and white. In the front here, I have the wild geraniums, and they have gone wild this year. They are kind of taking over. They're not the native, but they're a variety of the native, a hybrid, if you will. Here I have a stand of Aster. I just cut those back about probably a week to 10 days ago, and they're coming back with gusto. They did have an insect that hopefully I have taken care of, and the tops here will grow. I cut them back in late June, early July, so that they will not get so tall and rangy. I do the same thing with toad lilies, which I have in the back of the garden, and with sedum that I have here in front, kind of being taken over by the geranium. But I cut back the sedums, and they don't bloom as early, which I want, because I want them later in the year when other things have stopped blooming. I have some Shasta daisies, which I just love. And I have some zinnias. The bees and the butterflies love the zinnias. Some gaillardia and a small sweet William. I really try a lot of plants and see what works and what doesn't in the garden. I can see the asters have done very well, and the daisies. Let me go back here a minute. Coming here, and they'll bloom here in about 2 weeks, is obedient plant. This also is a native. It is a pink flower. It seeds readily. So I have a lot of them in the garden, but they're fun to dig out and share. And I've done that every spring now. They last a long time, and if you deadhead them, they'll last through August, and they're beautiful. And the bees love them. Coming along here now, I have some penstemon that I am letting go to seed. They look kind of wild here, but I want the seeds so I can share them and plant them. And here I have lyre leaf sage. It is a beautiful plant, and it also self-seeds. So it is some work to get it dug out throughout the garden in the springtime, but I always have a lot to share. On this side, I have some milkweed. It is the swamp milkweed. The incarnata, Asalpius incarnata. It is happy here because it is wet. We are on a slope, which I think you could tell as I walk down, and the slope, the water obviously all runs down in here, and so I try to plant water-loving plants in this area. This is a type of cardinal flower. It's a new purchase this year, so I am curious what it's going to look like. My regular cardinal flower that I planted for some reason did not survive, so I'll have to do that again next year. Back in here, I have a salvia, and I have some more lamb's ear. This is going to come out next spring. I'm going to plant something else in here. I have some peony, which is a plant of my childhood, and I have to have it in my garden. So I split a plant a couple of years ago that I had for probably 28 years in one spot. And so it is not happy, has not come back yet, but I am hoping it will. Some more penstemon, a different variety. And then here I have some dill that I planted just because I love the flower and the leafy and the asparagus fern looking leaves. And I have some mountain mint. Mountain mint I have it is in a pot. And when it blooms, it again will be like a bee magnet. Okay, I've already gone over my 10 minutes, but I want to go and show you just a couple of other things as I walk along here. I have a ground cover here, which is a sedum. It is not native, but it is not invasive. And the bees do love the flowers, and it is a very, very hardy looking sedum, and hardy sedum. I have shared it many times with my neighbors, and I've got it in a couple places in my garden, and it is a good ground cover. It doesn't seem to want any particular soil, so that's nice. The spider wart. I have a spider wart here. This also will, it spreads. So I have lots to share and lots to move around in my garden. And one of my pride and joys is this large plant in the back is a native hibiscus. I planted it from a seed 3 years ago now, during a children's program at Green Spring Gardens. There was an extra seed left, so I planted it. I raised it on my deck for the first year. I planted it that fall. It grew the second year, and it bloomed a couple blooms, and this year it is just taken off. It has large stems, and it is a beautiful flower, but you can see it needs a lot of room. Some more daylilies, and then I have some cleome here in the back, the turtle's head. These are pink. They are a hybrid, but they are beautiful. Some more asters. I have a native honeysuckle, which is not terribly happy here, but it does have a couple of blooms on it, so I have to find a better way to grow that. I have some more daylilies. Sedum I just replanted, and my newest acquisition this year is a button bush. Again, this is a very wet area. It will grow to about 6 to 8 feet tall, so I will be pruning it. But it is beautiful. I do have a galls on it here, which I was sorry to see, but it's only on a couple of places on the plant, which is kind of interesting. It's like the insects that made the galls just started and decided maybe they didn't like this plant, but it's only on a couple of leaves. You can see the other ones are absolutely perfect right now. Okay, I will not take up any more of your time. Thank you for joining me. And next time I will take you on a tour of my back garden and my woods. Thank you for joining me. Bye now. Hello, I'm Linda Nordstrom,
Okay.
and
Oh,
I'm
I'm
going to take
sorry,
you
I
on a
have to
short
stop
tour
it
of my
just
garden
a
here in
minute.
Springfield.
Good.
We've been here about 30 years, so I've had a lot of time to build this garden into what I want it to be. On the east side of the house, I have hydrangea.
Okay.
Got
I'm-
it?
Yep, I got it.
Perfect.
Okay. I just want to